Welcome to BWM. My name's Craig Carlisle, and I'm going to try and show you as quickly as I can today a quick rundown of BWM. Obviously, to give you a full rundown would take a little bit longer, but I'm just going to share some pictures with you today of what it looks like. To give you a little bit of the history, BWM is a computerized maintenance management system written in the toolbook language, and it was created not by software programmers. It was created by engineers for engineers, so it very much understands how engineers work and what they need to do. It's over 30 years old now, so it's been continuously developed with its interaction with engineers over that time in Australia and New Zealand. One of the basic tenets of the system is ease of access to get data in and ease of access to get your data back out. So while you can do a whole lot of stuff on screen and the likes, there is quite a bit of capability to also get your data back out using Microsoft Access reports, which I'll show you at the end. So I'm just going to log in. This particular model we're looking at today is kind of a plain model for us. It's got a bit of rough data in it, and you'll see that it's got the Quality Bakers logo, but it's not actually their data. So it's just a bit of a muck around database, and quite likely I might have to connect up some of the data as I'm talking to you, but it's handy for just showing you what it is we're doing here. Going into BWM, every user has their own specific parameters and properties, and so I'm just going to go and log in as me now. Here am I? I'm in there somewhere, and so everything is secured, and I have my own security level. You'll notice it pops up straight away with my name, and it's applied my security level. It also records absolutely everything I do, so there's audit trails right throughout the whole program. So what I change is recorded, and if I delete information, that's recorded as well. So it's completely foolproof. And being engineers, we know the little tricks that engineers get up to try and cheat the system. We're very well aware, so you'll find they can't actually do it in here when they go to do it. So running through the system, like all computerized maintenance management systems, you have various registers, assets, work orders, preventative maintenance. You can't see here at the moment on the left-hand part of the screen, but I'll show you soon. Work orders, spare parts, purchasing, permit work systems, technical resources, and personnel. Let's start with personnel, just the absolute basics. So in here, what data have I got? I've got a whole lot of data. Let's find myself. There's me, beautiful me. No, that's not actually my picture. It's just me playing around. So there's all my particular detail. Now I can only go into this area here because I've got level 1 super user access. You notice here on the right hand side, those are the various accesses. So this is where we can set me up as a person. Create my security levels and authorization levels, add files that are particular to me, recovery rate if that's important to you, and training records as well. I won't spend a lot of time going into there. I'll go back to the main menu. I'm going to kind of focus on 2 points of view. The principal point of view is what the tradesman interacts with. BWM is designed to be a trades-related program. We want them to live and breathe the information that's in there, so we make it very friendly for them. So I'm going to go and have a nosy. Going into the asset register, so we cascade down into our various registers. That's where maintenance planning sits, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. We're just going to have a quick look at our asset register. These types of views are pretty generic to BWM. We start out with a whole lot of list views. Because sometimes we have a lot of data, we want to filter it. So we've got 654 assets shown in the system. They're all linked to different cost centers and different physical locations. Don't worry about the asset numbering system just yet. We can help you with that. We've got years of experience in that type of stuff. But being 654 records, the problem that you'll get is looking for your asset. So we've got some smart little wildcards in there. I'm actually looking for a vacuum pump. So I'll just go vac, that'll do. There's everything with the word vacuum in it. I'm looking for vacuum pump number 1. There he is, click on him. I'm now going to my asset record for the vacuum pump. So this is where we record all the information about that specific asset. No, you're quite right. It doesn't look like an asset pump. It was just a photo I grabbed. So here's the basic information about the machine. We could add supplier. Perhaps the supplier is, we'll let Hansel's be the supplier of that today. That is freehand fields there. The fields down to the left here tend to be more the computer generated fields. And for those of you that are interested in your financial asset register, is also a cross-reference field. I've assigned a child asset to this particular vacuum pump. I don't have to, but I can if I want, and I could assign a parent asset to it. I won't go a lot into the detail of that, but the tick there for routable asset means I could designate that this is an asset that moves around the site, different locations, and I could do things. Suit that. I haven't bothered entering any meter readings in this block at present, but if I did, it would then be showing the average units, whatever they might be, that I'm using per day and where it's expected to be today. Where are we going? My mouse is playing funny games with me. Right, into the key bit. Technical notes. This is the bit that we really want tradesmen to interact with. We want them to put their information there. BWM has clients going back over 30 years where information put in 30 years ago is still there and available and relevant today because the plant is still in use. So that's just a freehand block. Do what you like, put your information into suit. A couple of blocks here for cascading fields. One is identified hazards for that asset, specific to that asset. So if there's something specifically about that pump that we need to be aware of, we'll put it in there. And linked work regulations, let's just whack one into there. Let's put a lockout, tag out procedure into there. There we go. That's in there now. Those two fields will automatically populate any work order that ever goes out to the tradesman. So he is always made aware of any safety concerns around this machine. You notice, you may have noticed just down to the left here, the audit log. As I mentioned about the sign-in, not only does BWM record audit information about what's been happening, we actually openly display it so that it's plainly aware that what you're doing in there is being recorded. Right. From the asset, we can do a number of centralized tasks. We can look at our work management, so we can look at work orders that are open or closed. We can look at PM tasks, spare parts that have been issued, and spares that are linked in our spares database, purchasing details, and linked resources. So I'll just quickly work through those. Work management. You can see at the moment there's an open work order sitting in there. Let's have a look at the history. I'll just click to see what history is in there. I don't know if I'll put in. Oh, look there. There's a bit of history in there. I can also add a work order or a historic work order on the fly from here. So if I wanted to record something, I could just do it very, very quickly. Let's say today we've just done something where we've fixed something that's broken. We can do it from here if required. So yes, what kind of job was it? It was a maintenance job. This is supervisor is a bit of a technical term for which group of people are getting the work order. Who am I? I'll be Henry today. And let me see, it's a pump, change pump seal. Let's say changed pump seal. Here we go. It's now pulled up the detail for the work order. So if I really wanted to put quite a bit of specific detail in there, there's some prompts on the left-hand side to suggest the types of things that I should be talking about. So it's just pausing there while I put in here extra information in. Was the job a breakdown? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no prompt, and it hard codes the work order so we can search for it later on when we're looking for work breakdowns. Yes, it was a breakdown. How many minutes was it down for? Oh, we're pretty quick. 25 minutes. We're good. Here we go. And what day did this happen? Well, it was actually yesterday. I've just come back to work today to do my paperwork. There we go. Bang, sorted. Got work orders in there. Right. More on work orders a little bit later. PM tasks, we can see from here that we've got a PM task available for this this asset already. This one's called Test the PM. Fancy that. We'll go into PM tasks in a little bit more detail later on. That's PM task 541. I just must note that. Spares issued, simply what spares have been allocated to this, or been issued to this asset over its life cycle, which is slightly different to linked spares. In linked spares, we're actually saying these are the parts that we do associate with this machine. So there's a bit of technicality to this, because we're actually saying, hey, you know, there's an O-ring, a stalk, trolley, 0, 8-inch, whatever that is, and we're taking the time from a technical point of view to associate the two. That's pretty vital information for running a CMMS later. Purchase details will tell us what purchases have been allocated against that asset, none shown there. And linked resources is our ability, this is cascaded right throughout the entire system, and I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail later on, our ability to link any information that's already on your server, your system, or your PC to either your assets, your PM tasks, or your work order, so that when they're issued, they can be automatically opened. Basically, it just follows the path, and if your computer can help it, typical, I'm on the wrong computer to be able to do that, but if you're on the server, you can follow that path through and open the document. Right, that is assets. I think that should do for now. I suppose, yeah, maintenance planning, we'll look at maintenance planning next. So maintenance planning is a register where you set up the template for your maintenance plan, and effectively, all you ever do is set up that template once. You never have to do it again. It does everything else. Where's that one that we were just looking at? One I've been playing with. This is what the template looks like. It has all the information that's ever going to be needed. It's linked to the asset already, so it's got the cost center information. We've dictated what the supervisor and maintenance type and all those other kind of selectable fields are. We've also said not only how long it should take someone to do it, we've decided an electrician should take 2 hours. We've also taken the time to pre-assign it to Charles, probably because in the real situation, it's always Charles that does this job, so that's cool. There's a whole lot of selectable fields around here, which allows the planner to suggest what the best day, shift, or requirements are for that shutdown. A little bit of stuff there with a frequency, which I'll come back to later on. If it's a calibration type PM, we can put the measurement points in there. And we can also say what kind of a maintenance plan it is. I'll just come back to task optimization at the end. Work requested. Here we go. In here, we put the detail. So this is where we could decide to write the actual instructions that the tradesman's going to follow, or maybe we could link it to an existing bit of documentation, which we'll do later. A little bit of the management stuff happening here. So we're in the PM task history. We're looking to see how many times the task has been done, etc., etc. Bill of materials. You can see here that we've already decided that we need some parts in order to do this scheduled task. So we've added them onto the back of the PM task. When it creates a work order, it will transfer those to the work order. And if we want to purchase those before the job happens so that they're ready waiting for the tradesman, it's a very simple click process. So everything's pre-done. There's no re-engineering or re-management needing to be done. Management log shows us 2 sets of information. The top block tells us about any changes that we've done, and you can see that I've set it to 345 days originally. The bottom block is the audit block, so no matter what we tell the system, in the back end the system is saying, well, it was Craig that was doing all this. Linked resources, that's the same as before. We have the opportunity to link to spreadsheets, pictures, CAD drawings, Word documents, whatever you have, and place them on the back of the PM template. They'll be tagged onto the back of the work order, and you can choose for them to automatically open up with a work order. that type of stuff. Calibration is if you are using it for calibration type PMs, you can record your as found readings, etc. in there. Right, coming back very quickly to the optimization. The frequency for this job is set at 345 days. You might choose to keep it on that for whatever reason, but if you're going towards maintenance excellence, you'll want to actually start optimizing your PM tasks, which basically means, look, let's change the name of this description because it's not very descriptive. Let's call it change the vacuum pump seal. Okay, so at foundation level maintenance planning, you might decide to do that every year or 6 months or whatever. That's fairly one-dimensional type maintenance planning. Really what you should be getting towards is taking a look at the seal when you take it out and making a decision about how close it was to the end of its useful life and adjusting the PM from there. We can get BWM to do that automatically for us by just turning task optimization on. Here we go. You'll notice there, work order 737. That's the current work order that is open for that changing of that vacuum pump seal. So right, that's your 5-minute introduction to the maintenance planning part of the world. I'm going to now whip down to work orders. Work orders is basically the area where you do your day-to-day running. So the previous view was the tradesman's point of view about what's happening on the machine. Now we're actually looking from the day-to-day running. Clerically, you shouldn't need virtually any clerical input. Some people might use about one part-timer for half a day a week maybe, but it's quite possible to have none, because once you set things up, all you're really doing is making little adjustments to the system. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking a look at all the work orders that are open in the system. There's down the bottom there, you can see there's 493 work orders. And the ones that are in red are the ones that are overdue. If there were ones that were using the word safety anywhere or were coded to safety, they would come up in blue. But what we're looking for right now is jobs that are due in our date window. I don't know if I'm going to find any, but let's have a look. Maybe we'll go back to January 1st this year, and well, let's make it March. Here we go. So I'm actually looking for 3 months worth of data. Oh, look at that. That's nice. I've only got a couple of jobs going. And look at that. Sitting there is work order 737, change a vacuum pump seal. So let's go down to that job, have a look, see. This is what a work order looks like. I'm not sure if I can print it for you on this PC because I use a PDF printer. I'll just hold off doing that today because I don't know if I've got the PDF printer loaded on this particular PC. Right, so there's the work order. There's the basic information about it, the summary, what machine it is, and all that information that was sitting on the template. Now we could decide to add a photo to it as well if we really wanted to. Very good for breakdown type work, unplanned work, where someone from the process is trying to show you a picture of what they're talking about. I won't do that today. Technical details. Righty-ho, so there's the labour type information. If this was an electrical job that required an electrical safety certificate, we very simply click on there. I won't do that because it'll take me a while to do it. Click on there and we will complete all of the electronic requirements for electrical safety certificate on the fly, just like that. Simple to do. Bill of materials. I think this has got the bill of materials on there, so there we go. Isn't that nice? I'll come back to that in just a second. Labour details, any spares issued, any items on order, and any linked resources. Right, let's go to bill of materials. So this was a planned job that came out of the PM system. It's now been turned into a work order, and we're now on the valid period of when we plan to do it. So as the planner, I'm going to take a look at all these parts and go, yep, I'm going to do the job. It's the right guy, it's the right day, and all that type of stuff. I'm going to order the parts. I want to order the parts. So there we go. Create purchase request. Done. That's all it took. when I go into the purchasing system, I'm going to be able to show you that they're sitting there on the purchase request system. If I needed to change the date that it's scheduled, pretty simple. Click on there. Let's say we're going to do it that day there. Done. Sorted. Just coming back to the first comments about security levels, depending on what security level you've got, that kind of dictates what areas you can see and then what changes you can make. But now that it knows it's me, it doesn't bother me with a whole lot of passwords and stuff like that because it's me logged in. Right, and that's a very quick overview of work orders. Spare parts. You can have as big a spare parts database as you like. And when we talk maintenance excellence, what we talk about is virtual databases. We treat our spare parts database like a great big telephone book full of spare parts. That doesn't mean they have to be stocked on site. We can make that decision as we go. So in here we've got a whole lot of stuff that is sitting in their inventory store. Let's pick on some nasty little O-ring. Here we go. Doesn't really tell us a lot, does it? We could have a photo if we wanted of it. We can have some bit of ad hoc information, some automated fields. We could also link resources to it. So let's say that that's the O-ring. I doubt that an O-ring would need a drawing, but perhaps we might have a CAD drawing of the particular part. We can link it in. Suppliers, we can designate up to 3 separate suppliers. This one's shown as supplier unknown. They don't know who supplies it, but once they've found out that information, they can link it in. We can link it to our assets. And this particular one's not linked to an asset. So if I was the engineering manager, I'd be saying, if I don't know where it's going to be used, and I'm not going to be stocking it. I'll show you how easy that is to do. Link asset, let me see. I'll just grab any old asset. We're going to put it on the second joint cutter. There we go. We need 2. Done. Right. And you can imagine that eventually you populate your data. You'll be able to see absolutely every situation where this is used. On the stocking, you can see these fields for the current stock, the reorder quantity, and the quantity on order, and the minimum stock level. So our current stock is 2 and our minimum stock level is 2. So that'll be quite happy. If I'm just going to manually adjust the stock level, because I can. Now when we go into the stock reordering system, it's going to pop up and say, hey, you need stock. It's going to ask us, do you want stock? If we want stock, it will send that through to the purchasing system as well. That quick. Right. Purchasing. Okay, I have been talking about all these purchase requests and the like, so I'll follow that way through into the purchasing rather than just manually creating one. But BWM has a fully supported purchasing database, which has been used by major companies like Goodman Fielder for all of their purchasing over the years. So it's quite mature. You can use it as professionally as you like. If you already have a purchasing system, some clients, it can be linked in. Linking these systems on a Windows environment is very easy. But with some companies where it's been a bit complicated for them, they've just basically considered everything that comes out of BWM as a purchase request. So they use the system to generate a purchase request. Righty-ho, so let's take a look at our data, and I'm just refreshing it. I think some of those bits and pieces there could be related to there's the work order 737 information there. See there? That's the stuff coming through. But the way I've sorted it is I'm sorting by supplier so that I can consolidate my purchase order. So let's just go click for everything from Connect Engineering. Here we go. And excuse me, step 3. Wham. Here we go. We've just created a purchase order for Connect Engineering for all those pretty little items. I just changed the view there. The piston, the plunger, the counter spring plate, dry sprocket, push arms, and dramas. So that is a purchase order all ready to be printed out, sent out, emailed out, whatever it might be to Connect Engineering. The purchase order is not yet authorized, and unless it's authorized, it won't print out. So there are some controls sitting in the system there. It's about as far as we'll push into purchasing today. I've probably already covered off enough of technical resources. Don't need to go into a lot more detail there. Permit to work. BWM has, as well as electrical safety certificates, it has a hot work permit system there as well. But you're welcome to, if you have your own established systems, what we suggest is you tag them in through the technical library part. Righty ho. I'm trying to keep this short. I don't want to make the video file too big. I mentioned at the beginning that we're very keen to make sure that engineers can get their data back out in a manner that's user-friendly for them. So we use Microsoft Access, which some engineers are relatively familiar with. And oh, sorry, I already had it open. I meant to go to the main screen. Let's go back out to the main screen. So what I've just clicked on, that shortcut from BWM has taken me through to a completely separate Microsoft Access data model, which is open for the user to customize. So they can edit it to suit themselves. If they don't have the skills, we'll help the user with that, and the actual program comes with pre-bundled reports in it. So this is the pre-bundled kind of version. You just have to excuse my screen graphics because I'm using a smaller computer, so I haven't reset the screens, but got a bit of a dashboard there for all the stuff that we believe or have found over the last 30 years is important to engineers. And as well as that, we have, just trying to scroll down, a whole library of reports bundled into areas called work scheduling, maintenance planning, asset reports, spares reports, and purchasing reports. So we can go into, let's go into maintenance planning. One of the cool things about maintenance planning is as soon as you go into this area, you instantly get a rolling 5-year forecast of your 5-year budget going forward. The data on this looks horrible because we've been playing with it. We'd expect the graph to look a little bit more sensible than that. You can see over here all the costs are bundled up over there because we've got one little job set over there. Right, but anyway, so I want to run a quick report on my PM backlog. Try that. So these are pre-bundled reports. This may be a little bit difficult to see, which is sitting there giving me my work backlog, overdue PM work orders. Yeah, you can see it's actually sorting these ones by asset and giving us the total hours. That might be a little bit boring for you. You might want to see something else. Work scheduling, what's happening in work scheduling? In this page here, we've got some quick fire reports designed for when the poor old engineer is running off to meetings and needs to kind of get some information out of his system. So let's say he's going off to a safety meeting. He can pull that and hello, this one's been configured for Auckland Meat Processors. Yes, they've been clients for many years. So this gives all the open safety work orders and allows the engineer to just quickly run that off the printer and go off to his meeting, and then he can talk to some actual facts about what's happening in his system. So there we go. I think that's about all I can think of for the moment. That's a real quick fire run through of BWM. Obviously, I'll try and find some more info soon. I'll just see if I can pause this.